Good morning, everybody. Miss Mocano here, and today I wanted to give you guys a little bit of heads up on this assignment that's coming up, making and interpreting graphs. And in particular, I want to show you how to make a line graph using Google Sheets. So I'm actually going to go through one example that you guys have to complete out of here. And I'm going to do it step by step to show you how that is done. So I'm going to use this example with the breathing rate of fish. And it's the questions it's asking is use the information in the table below. So it's giving us this table to answer the following questions. So you're going to answer all of this in Kami. But one of the things that it's asking you in number 34, it's asking you to use the data table given here to construct a graph in Google Sheets. All right, so that's the focus that I want to have today. I want to do this number 34. So first thing I'm going to do is I am going to go to Google Sheets. I'm going to show you guys how to do that again. I'm going to open myself up a Google Sheet. So I'm going to go to a new tab, and you can do this in multiple ways. Go to Google Sheets from this little wafer over here, or you can go right through your Drive. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to go from Drive. So from Google Drive, hopefully you guys are all have some kind of organization in Google Drive. Hopefully you have an IPS folder. If you don't, make yourself an IPS folder so you can store all your work in there. So I'm going to go to my IPS folder, and I'm going to go to the appropriate folder for this assignment, which is in scientific method. I'm going to open myself from this folder. I'm going to go new. I'm going to go Google Sheets. So here's my new Google Sheet that I just opened. I'm going to give it a title. So I'm going to say making and interpreting graphs assignment. All right, so that's my title, so I know how to find it. And I'm going to jump right into it. So the first thing I got to do is going back to my assignment handout. I got to copy this table basically and put it in Google Sheets. So let me see if I can just literally Control-C, copy and paste. So I save myself a little bit of time. So that looks pretty good. It almost gave me the entire thing. It did not give me the titles, but that is okay because I can just go and input my titles. Let me see if it's going to let me do that. So I'm just going to put temperature. Okay, so I think what's happening is that it had, I'm just going to delete this row, and I'm going to enter myself a new title over here. So the title of my first column is temperature, and I'm going to put in brackets degree Celsius, capital C. That's my unit for the temperature. I'm going to put breathing rate for my second column label, and this is per minute. It's looking a little bit ugly, so I'm going to make this look a little bit neater, a little bit nicer. I'm going to put a nice little border around this as well. All right, so I'm liking how my title is looking right now, how my table is looking. The only thing I'm not liking is that it has no title. A table, a data table, and a graph, they should always have a title. So I'm going to put a title on this. I'm going to insert a row so I can have a little bit more space. I'm going to click on this row 1, right click, insert one above. I just got myself a nice new row so I have a little bit of space. I put myself a title over here. I'm going to title this breathing rate of fish versus temperature. So I got myself a nice title that includes both my dependent variable, which is the breathing rate, which is always in the right-hand column, and my independent variable, which is the temperature. Breathing rate of fish versus temperature. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this data table. I'm going to now construct myself a line graph. So I am highlighting everything, including the labels. I'm not highlighting the title. I'm not highlighting any blank cells because that's going to mess up my chart. I'm highlighting just my data plus my labels. I'm going to go under Insert. I'm going to go under Chart. All right, so it automatically gave me a scatter plot. That is not what I want right now. That is not what I want. I actually want a line chart. So what do I do about that? I'm going to go to this chart editor right here. I'm going to, under chart type, I'm going to click. And it shows me right here, I have different options. And down here, I have different options. So I'm going to pick myself this line chart right here. Okay, so now I'm looking a little bit better, although there's some stuff that I still don't like about this graph. So I'm going to show you guys how to work with that. Number one, let's see, some of the things that I need to have on my graph are a good title. Breathing rate versus temperature. Yeah, this is pretty good, but, you know, maybe I'm going to edit it and make it even better. So breathing rate of fish versus temperature. I'm liking this title a little bit more because it's more descriptive. So all I did is just double clicked in that title right here and I edited it to what I wanted. The other thing I don't like is that my chart is not actually showing me my data. It's just showing me this line. I want to see my actual data points that I have in this table. So I'm going to click on my chart. I'm going to click here, edit charts, to bring up my chart editor. I'm going to go under Customize. I'm going to go under Series. And I am going to go under, right here where it says Point Size, it says None. I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm going to make myself some points. Now, I can actually see these data points. So for example, here, 10 degrees Celsius, breathing rate, is 15. That's that point. At 15 degrees Celsius, breathing rate per my table should be 25. So 15, 25. My graph matches up with that, okay? So I want to make sure that I can see these points, so we just did that. The other thing that would make my graph even better is that if you guys can see right here in between 0 and 10, like this whole bottom section over here, I don't have any data. So that section is a little bit useless. I can make my graph a little bit better if I start my vertical axis at 10. Instead of starting at a 0, I don't really need this section. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back to my chart editor. I'm going to go under vertical axis. And right here under vertical axis, it says minimum value. I'm going to start that instead of starting at a 0, which Google Sheets did for me automatically. I'm going to ask it to start at 10. And here it is. So it kind of spread my graph up so I can see it better. All right. So I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with this graph. Let me see if it actually meets all the requirements. So use the data table to construct a graph. I just did that. And now it's asking me copy and paste your graph below. There are a couple of ways you can do that. I'm going to click on my graph, right click on my mouse, and I'm going to say, let's see, I'm not going to do that actually. So what I'm going to do is click on my graph, Control C on my keyboard to copy it. Let's see if that works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but there are different ways. So I'm going to try to paste it right in here. So it does work. It's asking me, do I want to paste it linked into my spreadsheet so that when I modify my spreadsheet, automatically modifies it here, or do I want it unlinked? Either way is fine. You can do either way. I'm going to do link to spreadsheet because in case I make any changes on my spreadsheet, I don't want to have to do this whole thing over again. I want it to automatically transfer my work. I'm going to hit paste. There's my graph. Okay? So that's all you guys have to do for this. This is a correct line graph. Remember to always give me for a graph, for data table, I always need to see a good title that includes both dependent, independent variables. I always need to see my axes labeled, or if we're talking about the data table, I need to see my columns labeled, and I need to see a nice spread of data. So modify your graph, your axes the way you have to, so that my data is not all bunched up in a corner or the top and the bottom. You gotta make sure it's spread out nicely over the graph. And it's always good to see these data points as well. So make sure you select that. All right, use the same method to complete the rest of the assignment, which is asking you to construct a bunch more graphs right here. You're gonna have to determine by yourself what kind of graph is appropriate. You need to select a line graph, you need to select a bar chart, you need to select a scatter plot. And if you are not sure, make sure to watch the previous videos I made on bar charts and scatter plots. All right, hope you guys found this useful. See you soon.